There you go. How's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good man. Good. How are you?
Yeah, very good, mate. I'm loving this sunshine.
I know it's crazy, mate. It's absolute. I can't believe it. I've been down the allotment today. It's like 20. What was it? Like 20 degrees,
Wow.
which is
Nice.
mad.
Nice, nice.
But then I went to work this morning and it was minus 2.5. That frost.
That's what you get for living
Honestly,
up north, man. All over the
that's
place.
it. Yeah, that's it. And I think as a grower, like growing food, it's so annoying. Like it's just like you putting plants out, you're bringing plants in. I've hardly done anything in the garden. Like I'm not saying anything yet. It's just like, what's the point? Just more effort. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So what you've got basically you've got to depend you've got to read the frost. If it's cold outside, you've got to bring stuff back inside.
Yeah. So like obviously a lot of young plants are dead tender. So when it comes to planting them out and planting them on, you're gonna yeah they don't like the frost. And it's kind of last year we had similar weather. Like we had similar weather where it was like quite the frost came so late in the season. So right now our last frost date is May is the second week of May,
Yeah.
which is it's just annoying. It's so annoying. Like it's just like I say, I'm taking trays out in the day,
Yeah.
like seed, putting them out in the garden, and then bringing them back in and bringing them back out. It's just like oh man,
Getting that
but
little
it's not
bit of
far
growth
off.
before they go back inside again.
Yeah, I'm lucky really because I've got quite a good setup at home now. Like it's taken me 3 years, and I've got like a polytunnel, got a mini greenhouse, and I've got like a in my shed. I've got like a shelf, and I've got heat mats, and I've
Hmm.
got light, and yeah, it's for like the Mediterranean stuff. But I feel I feel really good about this growing season. Touch wood. I'm not gonna jinx myself because it's I've kind of held off because normally I just go like bull in a china shop and I just go mad.
Yeah.
And then I'd be doing that. I'd be going in and out. And I've kind of done a bit and I've gone, you know what? Nah, can't be arsed with this. I was like, oh, wait, I'm not doing it.
So is that just you think over the years you've kind of got a bit more of a feel for how to read the
Definitely, man.
weather?
Yeah, I think so. It's so crazy, mate. Gardening, like growing food and just growing plants, it's just like the craziest kind of journey you can go on, like learning journey, because it's so self. It's
Yeah.
like on yourself so much. You can read all the books you want, read all the books you want. You can watch all the YouTube videos, but until you get your hands in the soil, nah. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the only way you will learn. And
Yeah.
it's taken me 3.5 years, and I still know fuck all.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, there's a lot to learn, mate. Hell of a lot to learn.
Yeah,
You see it
yeah,
in
and
the Biggest Little Farm documentary. I know we talked about it before, but what I
yeah.
found so amazing about that was like they were obviously they didn't know anything about farming before they started, and you see the cogs turning in the guy's head. It's like he's starting to work it out, and it's almost like it's an orchestra and he's the conductor of the orchestra where he stands back and he's watching everything go on, and then it's like something knocks something else out of balance, and it's like, right, how can we rejig stuff here to like knock it all back into place? And it's man,
Mm,
it's like an art. It's complete art.
mm. It's create, mate. It's pure creativity.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way I can explain it, and why I'm so passionate about gardening and growing food is that it's like it's just you play. It's like child play. You're playing and you're learning as you play, and you'll learn how things work. And like I say about the orchestra and things being in and out of balance, you only learn that from playing. You
Yeah.
only learn that from having a go yourself. What a documentary, by the way! Like one of the most inspiring documentaries ever. Like that's my
Yeah.
dream. And I just think, like for them not to know anything, it's such an empowering uh, it's an empowering thing to think of because we've all got this. We've all got this. Like we've all got the ability to do this, and it's actually in our blood to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the way that we live life is so out of sync with the way that we should be living. And you learn that when you start growing food, because you go, oh my God, like, is that how potatoes grow? Or what? Like, that's how a squash grows, and that's how easy it is to grow. And you just get sucked into it, and you start to realize, for me anyway, that's kind of how my journey into food sovereignty, regenerative agriculture, permaculture, everything, that's how it started, because I just got there, just got involved and started to see like how everything kind of comes together.
Well, so I kind of want to wind it back and hear your like full story of how it all started. But just,
Here we go.
but just as like a bit of an intro, man, I just wanted to say like what you guys are doing, I think is absolutely incredible. Like one of the big problems, one of the reasons I see so many people are like experiencing disease at the moment, or disease, is their disconnect, right? It's disconnect with nature, it's disconnect with community, and it's disconnect with self. And what you guys are doing Down to Earth Derby. So for anyone that doesn't know, Down to Earth is basically a biodynamic allotment, right, up in north of England, up in Derby. And when I say biodynamic, for anyone that doesn't know what that means, that's like a touch above organic. It's like taking organic to the next level. And we can go into this a little bit more, but like organic, people are kind of gaming the system now, right? You've got organic monocropping going on, with organic animal farming. It's like often they're feeding them organic grains and stuff like this. Biodynamic is true farming practices where you're rotating crops, etc. Am I correct?
Yeah, you are, man. And it's to do with the moon cycles. Like we're practicing, like doing biodynamics, but like when the seasons are like how they are now and you're trying to hold everything off, it's quite difficult if you're not like a professional and it's not your profession. Biodynamics was something created by Rudolf Steiner. We can talk about that in a bit. But I like to think beyond organic. And I've had this conversation with a couple of market gardeners. I like the word beyond organic. I think that's quite a nice way to put it, because that's kind of regenerative, because organic's been taken. Like organic food, what you mean food? Are you actually mean food? That's what food is. It's either organic and it's just food, or it's shit for your body.
Yeah, but I think they should label it, instead of labeling foods organic with the Soil Association logo or whatever, they should just label non-organic food with a big pesticide symbol. They need to switch it round.
Yeah, it's a mad. That's like an hour's conversation in itself. Food sovereignty and food security. But yeah, where do you want me to start?
Okay, so start at the beginning, man, because it's very unusual to come across someone of kind of your age and a guy who's just like started an allotment. It's like, I don't know anyone else that's done it. So how did it start? Like, where did you start getting interested in growing food and all that sort of stuff?
Do you know what, man? So right at the beginning, right at the beginning, I work full time. I build airplane engines for a living, and I work shifts. I've worked shift work for the last 10 years of my life, and it's probably taken 10 years off my life already, but it's what I've got to do to pay the bills. It's what my qualifications are for. After I left school, and I'm in a good job financially. I'm in a good job. It's secure-ish. It pays my bills. It pays for the house under my family's like head. So at the end of the day, that's what I've got to do. But I've always had a kind of connection with more out of life than that, I suppose. I'm trying to say this in a different way than I normally say, because I'm bored of saying it. Or like I say it so much, I just want to like. So yeah, I work shifts, and I was working like 12-hour shifts, 4 days on, 4 days off, mornings and nights, 6 till 6, and then 6 till 6 the other way. And yeah, it's killer, mate. It's absolute killer. The isolation alone in midweek, when you're doing that and you're not socializing with anybody, no one's in the house, it is depressing, and that's why you get the seasonal
circadian rhythm completely off as well, which I bet doesn't.
Yeah. So one of the things that kind of got me on the route was me and my mate. We both had dogs, and we would just go for walks around our local area exploring. And the benefit was ridiculous. Like, the benefit was just, you could feel it. Like, I could feel between my night shifts, I could feel going out for a walk and how it affected me, and how I would go home and I'd just be like refreshed compared to if I sat on the sofa watching series, eating shit food, then going out on the piss. And we did more. We went up to the Peak District. Lovely, the lovely first national park of the country. And we just went mad for exploring there. Like, we started planning where we were going to go. Like, each week we were like, right, let's go check this place out. Let's go check this place out. And that was just, I'd say that's like just on the front. Like, that was just on the surface. I didn't really like take it for what it actually was at the time. It kind of just sat in the back of my head, the subconscious, and sat there. And then other things started happening. Me and my wife now, we went traveling 7 years ago, went around the world, went to South America, went to New Zealand, Australia, Southeast Asia, just saw like the nature in them places, and the kind of connection and the locality of everything. And I'd say that had an effect on me. So it's not just one thing, it's kind of like a multitude of steps that I've taken over time that have got me to where I am now. Then it's the pull. It's just the pull. Like, nature, when you connect with it, pulls you into it more and wants you to know more, because we are fucking nature. Like, we are nature. Like, that's it. Nothing else. We are born out of worm food, and we will be worm food again. Like, that's it. It's going to be straight to the point. There's a lot of more mystical and cathartic things I can say for that, which I do say quite a lot, but we ain't got time for that really. And so we went traveling, came back. We were looking to buy a house. One of my big inspirations and one of my biggest impacts has been like a pilgrimage to the Eden Project. Where's that? In Cornwall. It's in Cornwall.
Cool.
Yeah, so I recommend it, man.
I'm gonna write it down.
And anyone else in here, I recommend going checking the Eden Project out. So went to the Eden Project, and like I say, we did an annual pilgrimage to there anyway. And I remember coming from after traveling, and we went before we went traveling as well, actually. And when we went before traveling, we were looking at all, because it's biospheres that they grow food in. You've got a Mediterranean biosphere, and then you've got a rainforest biosphere that they grow food in and create the rainforest in a bubble, in a greenhouse.
When you said biosphere, I imagined, like, those big, kind of like the O2 style balls.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of like that.
Half circle, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, and it just blew my brains out, just because you come out onto a platform and you see it all, and it's in a disused mine, and it's an old Chinese clay pit. It's 20. I'm sure the place is it's 20 years open to the public, but I'm going to say it's about 30 years project. And breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. And I was just like, what? Like, we can change a clay pit and grow multitudes of foods and educate people and help them understand where they are in the world and empower them. And I was just like, I need to do this. Like, I need to find out how I can do something like this and actually know. It kind of gave me the fact that I could actually make a change, because we are so overwhelmed constantly with information. We're so overwhelmed with stats and facts about how doomed we are. Climate change, climate crisis, politicians telling us we're not good enough, we're not doing enough. We're hearing it through documentaries that we watch on television. And all these things, they just kind of piss me off. Like, I was like, yeah, but you're saying that we have to make big changes. I'm a working class bloke who works shifts. Like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go live in a teepee? I can't go live in a teepee. I've got to look after my family.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd love to do that, but realistically, that don't happen. So we were in the process of getting a house, and the house fell through, and we got this cottage in a village out in the sticks. It's out of Derby a bit, and the garden was a jungle. It was an absolute state. Like, it was like, it's been on the market for like 7 years. And obviously I think people were looking at the garden going, nah, fuck that. See in a bit. No.
Yeah.
And me and our missus, we looked at it and we were like, what? Like, we need to buy this house because of the garden. Like, the potential here is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So started getting into the garden big time, because it was like, this is my play area. Like, this is my play area. I can do anything I want. Like, there's so much potential. There's so much to learn. There's so much for me to just play with and learn with. And I had that conflict in my head where I was like, well, what am I doing? I'm working class. I want to make changes. I'm not environmentalist enough, because we're taught that it's such a black and white situation, and it's not.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like, I'm fed up with this, because there must be so many more people that feel like me, who don't believe that they can make a change. But if they believe they could, and no matter how small that change was, they could change and they could actually make a difference.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want people to know, I want people to understand that connection with nature, and actually understand how amazing growing food is, like how cool I find it. I literally just want to go, this is how, like, look through my eyes, this is sick, this is where it's at, like, this is what it's all about. And so yeah, I kind of was following that thought process. I wanted to do the filming originally. I just wanted to film people and meet them and talk to them about their connection with nature, and go like, how sick is this? How sick is what you're doing? Like vermicomposting, and what people might be doing with like like looking after bees, and like there's an old guy. There's an old guy who's a mate, who's one of my workmates' dads, and he came over. Not during the Windrush. He came over when Jamaica kind of really came over to England in the 1960s. And he was 19 years old, and he was born just growing food. That's what he was doing. That's all he did. It was like growing food in the community. That was life.
Yeah.
That's what they did. He come to Derby in the winter, and he was like, oh my God, what am I doing here?
Bit of a different environment, eh?
Yeah, and I met him, and I was talking to him about his connection with nature. So I was meeting all these people talking about their connections with nature, and I was like, he couldn't live without his garden. He was growing beans from the 1960s, like saving the seed of beans from the 1960s. Traditional gardener as well, like digging over every year, breaking your back, and he's saving these seeds. And I was like, there's something else here. Like, there's something more here. We need to keep filming this and actually hopefully get to the crux of it.
Yeah.
So I was doing the filming stuff, and then my friend, he got an allotment, and I was like, mate, I've got my garden, like I've got my hands full as it is. And my wife wasn't pregnant at the time. We just found out she was pregnant when we were doing all the filming. And he was like, can you just give me a hand? I was like, yeah, man, I'll come give you a hand. We'll do some filming. And then we kind of had a light bulb moment, because we were like, our generation can't, like, how we're programmed socially now. We are so busy, and we're so fast, and everything's so quick, and we've got so many hobbies, and we haven't got any leisure time because we've got too much leisure. There's too many leisure activities for us to do that we don't have any leisure time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, right, well, we need to fit what we want people to know about into their lives. How do we do that? And we just had mates come down, and it was a social. It was just a social. We'll go down to the apartment, get stuff done, go for a beer after. And it was like changing from like just going out on the piss and then going to watch football to going down to the allotment, and then going for a nice beer after. Like, it completely changed, and the traction was there. And I was like, then I started sharing stuff online, and more people wanted to come. So I was like, well, we can't not share it with people because that's what we're all about. Like,
Yeah.
that's what we're about. We want to make this accessible. We want to show people that we don't know what we're doing, and we're just going along with it. Like nature's teaching us, so we'll just go with it. We'll let them we'll let them show us. So we kind of got like a band of community. We've got a good group of people now. And then before COVID, obviously, we were doing meetups. We were doing allotment meetups, and we were letting people from the public come down. And yeah, man, it's been a bloody wild ride. It's been an absolute wild ride. And all it's about is reconnecting people with nature, because as soon as they find out that whole vague umbrella is about connecting with yourself, is about understanding what you actually are as a human and who you are, and it's about understanding how important community is. So we do that, and we also do rambles in the Peak District. We take people out to go, well, this is the stuff that you can do on a small scale, and you can actually get your hands dirty, and you can actually kind of manipulate your environment to feed yourself. But also, let's go out into the Peak District to see what Mother Nature's actually about, and like be in awe and wonder of like knowing your place in the world. Like going, oh, actually that's small, but it's actually all part of it. So yeah, big waffle there and a lot of information to go through, but I hope I explained myself quite well. I hope.
No, mate, that was class. And it sounds like it's so cool how it's kind of like just grown organically. And when you're going through, a few things were just resonating with me so much. Like that story you said about taking your dog for a walk when you finish work. Like, I think we're both on the same page. We were speaking the other day where we're like both kind of workaholics in a sense, right? And I'll work all day, all night, and fit some training in there and never stop. And I'll get to the end of the day and I'll be absolutely knackered. And it's so tempting to just sit down on the sofa, turn the TV on, or scroll on your phone. But I know come when it's time to go to sleep, if I've done that, I'm going to be feeling shit night's sleep, all that sort of stuff. We went the other night, we've just moved down to Devon. We finished work like 6:30, jumped in the car, drove down the beach, and I was about shattered behind the wheel. I was just like, wasn't up for it at all. Got down, it was windy, got in my swimmers, jumped in the sea, and literally as soon as my head went under the water, all the brain fog just cleared. I was like, wow, I just feel unbelievable. Got out of the sea, back home, singing in the car, made dinner, just like, it's just that like you said, it's just that kind of reconnecting with nature is just, it's what we need as human beings. It's something that we've lost massively. And that's one of the cool things you're doing is like planting that seed in people's head. It's like, it's here, it's on your doorstep. It's so easy to, remake that connection.
And that's how we should be. Like, because that's kind of been my biggest realization recently, is like, it makes me feel so good. Like, I feel so good being out in nature. I'm like, there's a reason, because that's what you actually should be doing. Like, that's what we should just be out in nature all the time. We shouldn't be put into four walls for most of the day, driving a car in four panels, and then we shouldn't be doing that. We should be out. We should be out all the time for as long as we can, and embracing the true self, like the truest part of us, and understanding that part that we play on this planet it's so important. And I don't want to, we need to do this humbly. Like, we can't do this overwhelming, because that's what's happened if we do that, we're like every other documentary. It's like, nah, come down, like, come have a laugh, like, have a laugh, just come for the banter. And then you see people go, oh, what's that then? How does that grow? Oh, that's amazing. What, you've grown this produce on the plot and we're eating that? You blow people's heads, and they're like, I need more, like, I need to know more, like, how does this even work?
And I bet as well, when people taste the food that they've grown themselves, like so my girlfriend and I, transforming our garden. So we moved into this new house. It was all pebbles in the garden. We ripped it all up last weekend. We're just gonna hopefully lay grass this weekend, and we're gonna put a raised flower bed in and start growing some veg. So I can't say honestly that I've like grown my own food like you have, but I remember when I was like starting to really get into health and fitness, and I was like, right, understand the importance of organics, because you know you don't want pesticides and herbicides and all this sort of stuff in your body. This is before I was aware of like how the organic system has been gained, but I was like making my best effort with the knowledge I had at the time. And I started looking around on the internet. I was like, where's the best place to source my fruit and vegetables from? I came across Riverford Farm and ordered a box of fruit and veg from Riverford. I remember cooking, it was spinach. Cooked the spinach, and I was like, that tastes like nothing, no spinach I'd ever eaten before in my life. It just tastes, it's completely different vegetable, you know, in terms of like taste. And I'm thinking, right, what are the nutrients in that which isn't in, you know, your normal spinach in the supermarket? And, you know, to the other point you made of like, we are nature. It's like I see every opportunity, when we eat, it's an opportunity to bring nature into your body. And, you know, everyone knows that old saying of like, we turn over our cells every 7 years. What do you think you're making your new cells out of? You're building them out of the food you're eating. Do you want to be building that from like organic, biodynamically farmed spinach, or do you want to be building your cells from, you know, Mackies and like processed seed oils and all that sort of stuff? It's mad, mate. And I think that's so cool, because when you can grow something for yourself and then eat it and taste the difference and feel the difference, how it makes you feel in your body, you're like planting.
You do, mate. You really do. Like, one of my first targets when we first started growing in the garden was like, right, I'm going to cook one meal fully out of the garden. That's it. That's all I want to do, is cook one meal and be like, we've grown this and we've eaten this from the garden. It ended up being like 8 full meals out of the garden.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Well, probably more than that. Like, probably more than 8 meals, like 4 meals. Like, and it was all from the garden. And the buzz is next level. Like, next level. I couldn't believe you could feel like that. And I think part of it is mentally, because you've achieved sustaining yourself from growing your own produce.
Yeah.
But the other part is that food's live. It's live, and it's from your climate. It's from your ground that you've looked after. You've nurtured that. You've put love into that food, and you have actually gone through that whole process. And like I say, it's like salad. If you don't eat salad, when you pick lettuce, I think they say 24 hours, it's dead. There's no nutrition in salad after 24 hours after it's been picked.
Wow.
But apparently it's actually 3 hours. So when you cut a salad head or take a leaf off, it's got like a milky, sappy substance on it. And when you see it in the shops and the supermarkets and stuff, you chop it and it's dry, it's dead. You want live food, like you want to be eating living food, and that's how it makes you feel. Yeah. Like when you eat that live food, it makes you feel live. It makes you feel alive. And I think one of the things that's a big attraction for Down to Earth when we've been doing it is when we cook our own produce that we grow and we eat it as a group, like we eat it together.
Yeah.
It's a tribal part of that. There's a tribal part of that. And I think it's so important. I think that part of it's so important. The conversations that fly around when everyone's eating, they're not about the weather, not about football, they're not about like work. They're quite heavy, deep conversations. Yeah. You've worked people into them being themselves.
Yeah. Barriers are down. On the nutrient sort of aspect of like the life of the plant and stuff, I say this to people all the time, because I saw a study, a friend of mine texted me the other day, he read a study, and I'd also seen it on comparing grass-fed beef, grass-fed steak with factory farm steak, and there was like minimal nutritional difference. Like, well, there was some nutritional difference in terms of like there was slightly higher omega-3 to omega-6 content, slightly higher in CLA and other good things, but you know, it was marginal. And he was like, oh, right, so there's not much. He was like, I'm surprised there's, you know, only this small difference between grass-fed and factory farm beef in terms of the nutritional quantity. And I said, yeah, well, that's with the science we have now. That's with the technology we have now to measure what we know. I'm telling you for a fact, like I know from eating a grass-fed steak compared to a factory farm steak, that there's something more there. There's a way bigger difference that makes to your body when it comes in. Just because we haven't got the technology to measure that at this moment in time doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I think there's so many people that live in this like scientific materialist world where if there isn't a double-blind placebo study to back up what you're saying, then they don't believe you. But all you need to do is take the example of what you said, walking the dog, or what I said, jumping in the sea. You know, when people talk about the idea of grounding, right, connecting with the earth, and a lot of people, you know, will laugh, you say, oh, that's hippie bullshit, you know, that's all woo-woo. I'm telling you, finish a hard day's work, go jump in the sea, and tell me that doesn't make you feel better. You don't need a double-blind placebo study to tell you, you know, you come out there feeling like a new person. And, you know, we both know Tim Sheaf, and this is one of the really cool things about Tim is he's not into the science of anything. He's like, his own body and his experience is the biggest scientific experiment to him, because he weighs and measures everything he does in real time, and he'll come away, and what he might take away from something is completely different from what the data says, but he'll tell you, well, that's my lived experience. So, you know, that's what matters.
Why aren't we listening to ourselves?
Yeah.
Why aren't we listening to ourselves anymore? Like, why aren't we trusting our gut? Like, trust your gut. Like, we're told from the scientific side that don't trust your gut, trust your head, don't trust your heart, trust your head. Like, trust the chimp brain and how the chimp brain works. And it's like, don't trust your emotions. And I'm like, ever since I've been on this journey with Down to Earth, I've followed my intentions, I've followed my intuition, I've followed my gut and and how things feel and how things sit inside me. And you can only live your own truth, and you can only experience your own life and how that life makes you feel. I think for me, before I kind of started growing, I was vegan, and I was like, if I'm going to be truly vegan, I need to learn how to grow my own food.
Yeah.
And then I learned how to grow my own food, and then saw what it takes to grow your own food and how you disrupt life growing your own food, and then understanding monocrop culture, everything else. That's another story.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of was like, nah, there's something more. There's something deeper than just going, veganism's going to resolve everything. It's a deeper thing than that. And I kind of, just got on that journey, and you've just got to trust yourself. Like, you've just got to trust your own instincts. And it doesn't matter what the data says. Like you were saying about the like eating beef. I've listened to a really good book, and I recommend this book on Audible. I'll listen to it, or you can buy it. Wilding by Isabella Tree. And she took a dairy farm that was on its last legs, and they rewilded the farm anyway, and brought in like pigs to graze, cows to graze, horses to graze, and they sell their meat, but they also just let the animals just rear themselves, and they pasture. It's all pasture fed, because you've got grass fed and you've got pasture fed.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to that book, and it was like, this feels right. Like, this feels really right, what she's talking about. Like, this is how we've got to go, and that is regenerative. Like, the way that she's talking about things is regenerative.
Yeah. And I think that, like, the point you made then, I think a lot of people get caught up in the, you know, the vegan, non-vegan argument, but and a lot of people miss the point is, you know, it's the farming practices we need to be looking at. You know, I eat meat, but I think factory farming's horrendous. But I also think monocropping's horrendous. You know, you're destroying the soil, using all these pesticides, you're killing the topsoil and the micro, what they called, not it's effectively the microbiome of the soil. You know.
Yeah, yeah, it's the micro, like the biosphere, the microbiosphere.
Yeah, of the soil, and that, well, you see it on the Biggest Little Farm documentary. It's like when that's destroyed, it effectively turns into desert land, right? Because
Dirt, it's just dirt. It's just dirt. It's nothing. It's got no
yeah,
life in it. It's got
and
no life in it. Like there's no life in dead soil, is there?
no, and like I was watching. Have you ever watched the series Vikings?
Yeah.
I watched Vikings, right? And there was a moment when they like go to him, they find the Americas, and he gets off the boat, or no, it may be England. They come to England, and he puts his hand in the soil, and he's picking up the soil, and he's just going like, "This is incredible," you know. It's got so much life. And I think for like the vast majority of human history, the soil would have been everything. Like high quality soil would have meant you could feed your family, you could feed your community, you know, you could live and you could thrive. And now in modern society, you know, that's completely gone. You know, no one, very few people have regard for the soil. You know, you're it's a kind of a shining example and an exception to the norm, in that you understand the importance of soil health, but the majority of people haven't got a clue. And then big business, in terms of monocropping and factory farming, can probably understand the importance of soil, but just have no regard for it.
It's power, man. It's like you look at the industrialization of everything, like everything. They wanted to do it with football recently,
Yeah,
and like everyone's gone mad. Like everyone's gone mad about like the football. Me as well, like football fan, and I was
yeah,
like, "And what are they doing?" And then it took me a minute. I was like, "This is just the way the world works now. Like
yeah,
this is how it's been going for a long time. Like there's nothing different. There's nothing different from the food system. There's nothing different from the education. Education's just capturing data. They just want to sell everything to you,
yeah.
and
It's pure
yeah,
greed, man.
it's pure greed, and it's the control, and it's the power. You look at Bill Gates now, and the fact that he's taking land away from communities instead of giving it back to him, and he's
Hmm.
buying all that land, and he's become the biggest farmer in America. You got one guy who's the biggest farmer in America. He's a software developer.
Yeah,
He's a philanthropist that's creating vaccines to dish out and cure diseases. Talks about overpopulation being the biggest problem, and we need
yeah,
to sort contraception out. And you're like, don't care if you're a tinfoil hat or not. I don't care. Like if you're down into your conspiracy theories, don't care about any of that. It's bad news. It's
yeah,
fucking bad news if you've got one guy with all that power. The power should be with the people.
yeah,
Communities should be able to feed themselves. Communities should be able to educate themselves. Communities should be able to control themselves. They
yeah,
don't need any of this. We look at COVID. Like you look at COVID now, our whole life has been micromanaged. Our whole life has been micromanaged because we're told we're not responsible. So if you're told you're not responsible, you're gonna act like a child. You're just gonna do it. That's how we work. So instead of going, and this is my thing, I've gone like with the COVID thing. If you didn't have a telly, you didn't read the news, and you didn't have a phone,
yeah,
how would you know? How would you know? Like the only way you would know is if your local councillor came to your house, knocked on the door, and said, like, really sorry, there's this kind of little mini plague thing happening. This is what it does to you. This is how it affects people. Can you just be careful when you go out, and like, can you just be a bit cautious around the old people?
yeah,
Sort it out. We're not really sure what we're doing, but we'll get there. And you'll be like, Sam, nice one for that. I appreciate that, and I trust you.
yeah,
Nah, on the news, like it's on the news, and you've
yeah,
got a politician telling you that they know everything, and you're like, shut up, mate.
yeah. I think
That's
that
my right.
one of the things for me is when I I take health advice from people who exude health.
Yeah.
And I don't see many of those politicians. They don't look overly healthy. You know, I think I'll try, like you said earlier, I think as a human race, we've lost, as a people at large, we've lost that ability to trust our gut and trust our instincts. But at the same time, every moment is an opportunity to take that back. And I think this is a massive opportunity because people are starting, I'm seeing people starting to. And I think bringing it back around to the food is like, I always think the clearer your vessel is in terms of like, if you're exercising, if you're eating good food, if you're consuming healthy content, if you're surrounded by good people, your intuition in those moments is going to be on point because you're going to be tapped in to that, you know, mystical layer of reality that we don't know what, you know, that when I was saying earlier about there's definitely a difference between the grass-fed and the non-grass-fed meat because there's something else. Well, it's like when your vessel is pure, you're tapped into that something else, that frequency. And when you're in that state, you can trust your gut. But if you're not in that state, it's like, it's hard to know, you know, and then you need to be, people look for guidance when they're not in that space. But yeah.
It's really hard. It's really hard, Josh, because I'm on that wave. I'm on that wave. And I'm like, but the way that my life is, it's really hard for me to get in there. And I'm like, well, if I'm like that and other people like that, how do we get people to be like that? And why are we not like that?
Yeah.
The people that are in power should be promoting health and well-being first and foremost for the people of that country, place, county, whatever. Like, that should be their number one fucking priority, is looking after them people, because if they've got healthy people, healthy economy, healthy everything follows that.
Yeah.
And you have to ask them questions. Like, you have to ask them questions. Why is food not food? Why is it being sprayed? Why are we just degrading the soil to dirt and not having an education system in place that is creating new minds and creating new minds to perceive the problems and make the solutions?
Yeah.
All we're doing, this is a quote from my teacher after I saw him, after I went travelling. He goes, all we're doing is putting children on a conveyor belt, and it's just like processing chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
And then he quit as a teacher. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, well, you're right. I was like, you're right, mate.
Yeah. Well, mate, I think what you're doing with Down to Earth is exactly what needs to be done. You know, like you said earlier, it's difficult to say, you know, we're going to change these massive corporations because it's like, where do you start? But like, what we can do is we can connect with what our passion is, what we want to do in life. You know, for you, that's gardening. For me, it's health, food, and supplementation. And we can give absolutely everything to, you know, what we love, and hopefully exude health and exude happiness and show, you know, lead by example in that way. And, you know, I think you're doing an amazing job because obviously people are being attracted to the movement that is Down to Earth. But on that note, actually, when you mentioned school, something popped into my head. Do you do anything with schools? Is there anything where, like, you know, school kids can come in and like start doing farming, or is that one step beyond?
It's not. So obviously, I would love to have everyone down. Would love to have our own space that we don't have to adhere to any rules. I would love to have people coming down, having sessions, having specific sessions. I've been contacted like numerous amount of times for school trips and stuff. Unfortunately, I work full time. It's run by volunteers who also have day jobs, and like the logistics and the practicality of it at the moment, it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
But I'm putting every single plan in place, and every single ounce of energy I've got into making sure that we can engage with the biggest audience that we can, because I don't care. Like, I'm not I'm not doing this for any gain. I'm doing this because it's my truth, it's my purpose. There's this time that I had the idea, like the inception of the idea, I was in the garden, light bulb moment happened after I was feeling depressed after a night shift. And it was literally like having all the information just hit you at once.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember I ran into my missus and said, I've got the idea. Like, I know what I'm going to do in my life. Like, I was like a madman. I was just like in a phase, like going, oh my God, I know what I need to do. Like, I know what I need to do in my life. It's like, and having that, like, it's that insight was like, yeah, it was just crazy. And nature's guided me on this path. And it's when you get on that path and you're in the truth with yourself. Like, I know there's a quote out there, when you line up your beliefs with your truths, like you live honestly. I don't know what the quote is.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Yeah. And when you do that, it's just, you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
You know that, like, as like someone like so passionate into nutrition, and that you can see it in what you do. Like you can take it. Like when you take your supplements, you can feel it. Like, and you know that you've gone the extra mile, and it's because you want to, and it's like your business now. But it doesn't. None of that really matters. It's because you actually, you know it. Like, you know that's your truth.
It's the only thing to be done. That's the thing. There's no other option in my mind.
Yeah, it's the way, man. It's the way. There's no other way. There's no other way to live your life, because if you lived your life any other way, you'd be lying to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, we will hopefully get schools involved and everybody else.
Mate, well, we've got like 10 minutes left, and I really wanted to dive into like, what are the next steps? Like, what's next for Down to Earth?
So, yeah, you're getting a exclusive. You're getting a little exclusive. So we're becoming a community interest company.
Okay.
So with us becoming a community interest company, it opens up to grants. Everybody in here, 18 people right now, you all get an exclusive. Consider yourselves privileged. You must feel really good right now.
Yeah,
so yeah,
Down to Earth. Breaking news story right here.
Breaking news, bigger than the Super League. So yeah, we're gonna become a CIC. We're kind of going from a community organisation to a community interest company, which means we can be a business. We can run social enterprises. We can grow professionally. It also means that we've got to have public liability, health and safety, insurance, all that admin that I just was like, nah, forget that. I don't want to do that. Luckily for me, I've got someone who helps me do that now. So yeah, we want to, Down to Earth wants to engage with the community, like I say, and reach out. I've seen the potential. I've seen the potential it can do to people. And that's kind of like the sustenance and the thing that powers me to go. Yeah. And that's the thing that makes me want to go more, because I'm like, this is changing people's lives. Like, how could I just give that up and just try to do something else and just do my own thing? So yeah, we want to empower the communities of Derby. We want to change Derby, because Derby is a shithole. I love it. I love
Derby, man. It's nice. Well, I went to like.
You've been Derbyshire?
So I haven't been in the centre. I've been in the nature part of Derby. It was lovely.
No, exactly. There you go, mate. It's lovely. Derbyshire's lovely, but the city is due an upgrade big time.
Okay.
And like, this is the perfect time for kind of have a community impact. But yeah, we wanna really change on a social level and on a community level. Like, we want to engage with all the different communities in Derby and grow into the potential that we've got. Like, I've got so many ideas of what we want to do. Mm-hmm. It's just organising them and making it practical and realistic, and then always taking a step back and going, well, is this our mission? Is this what we want to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, from we're really hoping come summer we can open up to the public and not just do community volunteer meetups, but we can have people from the public come down and get the public involved.
Amazing.
we've got to be realistic with what we do as well. Like, we've got to be really realistic. I've put a lot of time and energy and effort in this, which I've sacrificed a lot of family time. Like, I've booked holidays off work to work, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
I've like gone through all that, and now I'm at a point now, well, if this is a community project and we've grown into this and we've got these volunteers, well, the best thing to do is to support them. Let's be realistic. Let's be sustainable. Let's make sure that the allotment, that the growing experience that we can give to people is of the utmost quality.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do that is, unfortunately, in this current world that we live in, is make it a financial thing. Like, people pay for what they get. So people would come to an allotment meetup and they would pay for the session. They would learn how to grow in that season and what to grow. They would learn, obviously, plant identification, everything else. They would obviously learn all the other stuff that comes with it. They'd eat some top food that's grown on site, and then they'd probably go with some plants. And for me, I'd pay for that.
Oh, mate, 100%. And when you said then, unfortunately, I think like people spend their money on all sorts of shit. And I think to give people the opportunity to spend their money on something like that, which is, you know, they can educate themselves, they can connect with nature, they can connect with community, they can understand what real food is. You know, that experience could change someone's life. And I'm being genuinely serious when I say that. It might sound over the top, but I'm being deadly serious. So like, you guys, you know your worth, because that, you know, however much that commission, that, you know, that admission cost is to get in, is worth every single penny. And I can't wait until that's ready, man, because I'm coming up. I'm paid. You got one customer right here.
Sick. Yeah, appreciate that, man.
No worries. Appreciate that. Right, okay, well, we got 4 minutes left. So where can people find you? What's your website? If people want to get involved in coming down at the end of the summer, how do they go about and do it? You know, all the other good stuff.
So obviously, Instagram handle is probably the best thing. There's a link in the bio. The link in the bio takes you to our website. It's kind of under construction at the minute because we're obviously getting everything organised with how we're going to do things. Obviously, COVID's kicked us in the balls big time.
Yeah.
So we've kind of,
else, man.
Yeah, everyone else, mate. So we've kind of got to learn how to do things properly on site and with our walks in the Peak District. So yeah, the Instagram really. And if anyone who's been on this conversation, and I've seen a lot of comments and it's quite hard to see them all, but if people want to get in touch, like fire in the DMs, I'll speak to you. And if anyone wants to get involved in any way, shape or form, just let me know. Like, let me know if you want to help out, if you've got some form of support that you can give us. This is a community project. Like, this is about people changing the world that they live in, not just inside and out, but actually seeing physical change. And there's no doubt in my mind we are going to do that with this thing. And it might take me the rest of my life, but it's going to happen. Yeah,
100%, man. That's powerful stuff. Powerful stuff.
Right, I've said it now. I want to do it, Anna.
For anyone that's like logged in late or anything like this, I'm going to save the Instagram live to my live section of my Instagram, and I've recorded it, so I'm going to put it up on YouTube as well, if that's cool with you, mate. So I'll link you with it when that's all up next week. And Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it. Go enjoy your
evening. Man, loved it. Yeah, you too, mate. Loved it.
Nice one, Chief. Speak to you later. Ta-ra.
Nice. See you in a bit, man.